Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Just want to come on and talk today about being ignorant versus being stupid, and no one should really consider themselves just stupid unless you already know something and then you proceed further. But just being clueless or actually being ignorant is different, and ignorant is not knowing. But one thing I found out about myself is that I have a lot of empathy and trust too much. So I learned that about myself, so I kind of back off from that, and I learned to ask questions, and that is what this video is about today. There are certain questions that you can ask so that you can get answers, as opposed to having so much empathy and letting someone else lead the narrative, which is what happened to me. So listen to this video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hi guys, how you doing? And I wanted to come on today. I thought about 5 questions that you need to ask yourself before moving forward with dating someone or having someone for a potential mate that has been formerly incarcerated. Now, this is no ding against anyone that's formerly incarcerated, because everyone may have a past. I won't say everyone, because that's a lot of time. That's a phrase that people like to make themselves comfortable with, because there are some things that everyone has not experienced, neither have had the need to experience in order to know better, or what they do not want to experience. So there was 5 because of my lived experience from being married to someone who's been formerly incarcerated. I want to share these things with you, and this is just from my lived experience, things that I wish that I had known, or I wish that I had asked before dating someone that has been formerly incarcerated. And I did have deal breakers, and that was one of my deal breakers, because the mindset, and then hearing certain things, you will set up like deal breakers basically. But there are some people, and I didn't know this, but there are some people that are actually wrongfully convicted, and not always the case. And there is different levels of a wrongful conviction. Some wrongful convictions are where the person is actually innocent. Some wrongful convictions are when the person is actually maliciously prosecuted, or otherwise may not have been enough evidence to prosecute the person for the crime that they're accused of. So law and justice, I found, are 2 different things. They're two totally different entities. Just because something is lawful doesn't mean that it's going to end in justice. So those are 2 different things that I learned from just dealing with the trauma that I've gone through. But there are 5 questions that should be asked from a female to a male that is going to be a potential date or marriage partner. And number 1, you need to make sure that you do an STD panel. Now, I'm not saying this is just something I'm saying that everybody should do. So I'm not saying this is in particular to one particular person, but this is something that everyone should do. If you go on YouTube, you will learn from Judge Joe Brown that there was a specific, I can't think of what state it was right now, but what they did was they tested people before they went into incarceration and then tested them afterwards. And there was a high percentage that went in without HIV, testing positive for HIV and other diseases. But when they came out, there was a high percentage of them that were infected or had a STD when they came out. So just for the reason of you being in charge of your own sexual health, you should make sure that anyone, not just incarcerated people or formerly incarcerated people, but anyone that you're going to have a sexual relationship with, whether you use protection or not, you should make sure that that person is able to present you with an STD panel, as well as you to them. And also, have they had any relations with another man, either before incarceration, during incarceration, and after incarceration. These are some things and some questions that you should be able to ask a person that you're going to be involved with, because what happens is that it's a sexual relationship is going to be a risk. So those are some things that you should just ask point blank. And another thing, relationship with the guardian parent. What was their relationship like with their parent who was supposedly or there in their life? Whether they had both parents in their life, a mother, father, what was that relationship growing up like? If they just had the mother in their life, was it a loving mother? Because some people have been raised by women that did not have the help. There is no single mother, there is no single father, because it takes those two, a male and a female, to make a child. So no child is born without the contribution of a male and a female. So there are just parents that have more responsibility, where another parent is either passed away or may not know they fathered their child, or that parent is just basically a deadbeat parent and not there in the child's life. So you need to know what kind of relationship that person has had with a parent, because it's going to affect their mindset and how they respond to different crises and other people in their life, and especially how they respond to you. And another one is, why were they incarcerated in the first place? And then what was the conditions of their relief? And also attach on to this one, while they were incarcerated, also be able to look at their disciplinary record, ask them for their disciplinary record, so that way you can kind of see what type of person they were while they were in, because they do get certain disciplines. And just like you have a report card when you go to school, you have a report card, you have an evaluation on your job. So you kind of want to see that, and you can also present them with your history as well. And also find out if they have children already, because for one thing, if someone has children, a baby mama is going to affect your life as well. So these are some things that you need to know. Not necessarily everyone's going to be truthful, but these are some things at least you can rest in your mind that you did ask these things, because a lot of times we are told to burden the responsibility of the community. Oh, you don't want to, and you may have a personality like mine. I was the type of person that, I don't want to pressure anybody or stress anybody out. Some people are full of empathy, but you got to realize that some people, in order to survive, if you survive incarceration, you're a pretty strong person. That's just how I look at it. But sometimes people, oh my God, because we think, oh, we couldn't go through that. And we think that, oh, that's a horrible thing. And it is horrible, because personally, I was talking with someone the other day, actually an attorney the other day, who partner is involved in that system, the justice system of incarceration. And we were both discussing how it does need to be a change. People do need to be treated humanely. People do need to be prepared for returning to society while they're in. And I was sharing with her, in the medical field, prevention is worth the pound of cure, and discharge begins upon admission. So you have to prepare. We start preparing patients for discharge. You don't wait till that last day, because while they're there, you prepare them so they can have a smoother transition when they return home and do their own care. And this should also be applied to incarceration. Start preparing people, or else there's an injustice that's done to taxpayers who are paying for this service. You're going to get somebody going into incarceration coming out worse than they were. And definitely, I think that women who are vulnerable should not be subjected to someone that's been traumatized even more and then hiding behind a mask. And I'm just sharing this from my lived experience. This is my lived experience, and doesn't mean that everyone experienced this. So again, make sure that you check also to see about the kids that they have, because it is going to affect your life if they have young kids, if they've gone in there and they have young kids that are still under the age of 18 or also maybe in college and things, because if whatever income you have. And then if you are, this is a big one, if you're going to proceed, if you end up going toward a marriage, make sure you get a prenuptial agreement, because that way you protect yourself in the long run. And those are some things that I wish that I had done that would have actually saved me a lot of trauma and heartache and pain and suffering. But those are some things I will share with you. Sometimes things are allowed to happen to people who maybe can bear it. They say, to whom much is given, much is required. So those are some of the things and some of the questions. I had one young lady did ask this guy that she was talking to, and she asked him straight up, you've been in there for so many years and things. She said, have you been with a man? And she never heard from this person again. And also you hear certain things. Dante on YouTube, he's really, really good with sharing information. He's a male, and he shares this information so that you can be aware. There are other people. You have also Fleece Johnson. He shares the information. So certain people will share their information. And YouTube is out there, and it's out there even more and more people are sharing this information. And we know we have the PREA law that came into effect around about 2003. And it's the Prison Rape Elimination Act. And some people have been in prison and they come out and they just say, hey, it's just a check off the box type of thing, where the compliance part, as opposed to enacting or it being a deterrent. So you just have to think about, you have someone in and they're frustrated in that area, what's going to happen to someone that may not be as strong or strong in the mind or strong in body against someone that wants them. And those are just facts, but I'm definitely not saying that everyone will act on an impulse, because God knows that I've been in a relationship and I've been abstinent for the last 6 years or so, because it's just, and been using protection throughout my entire marriage, and then I've been abstinent rather. And those are just some facts. They're facts. And this is me not saying, making any accusations or anything, but this is just my experience. So let me know what you think about these 5 things. It's probably about 6, but let me know what you think about these 5 things. Okay.